Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first update on the Ukrainian-Russian war. Here is the opening map that we'll be using for the majority of our presentations. We see in dark blue Ukraine, in light blue the Ukrainian supporting nations. In green, you have your NATO nations. In the red, we have Russia and their fellow belligerents, which includes Belarus at this time. We also have the Russian supporters in the dark orange, and in the light orange, we have the CSTO. If we zoom in here to the border, we can see that we have the Russian supporting nations of Syria, Iran, China, and North Korea. We also have the stands here, as well as Armenia and Serbia in the CSTO. Otherwise, most of these nations are supporting Ukraine. Most of the European Union, as well as the other NATO nations throughout this general area. Israel also supporting Ukraine at this time. What we don't see on here is the areas that we're actually dealing with. In Georgia, there are two countries or pseudo-countries that are breaking apart from Georgia, supporting Russia. We also, of course, have Crimea under Russian control, as well as now portions more inland. There's an area between Moldova and Ukraine that claims to be a separate nation, which supposedly has had troops come towards Ukraine from that area, as well as, of course, the Donbass region over here in eastern Ukraine, which, of course, Russia has been taking the offensive from, and again, now surrounding about half of Ukraine, as well as this southern part as well, causing naval activity down here. Of course, they have Crimea, so more or less Ukraine is surrounded on all except for the Poland and Romanian borders, which goes from here to here. Of course, Slovakia and Hungary as well, by Russian or Russian supporting forces. So at this time, it's not looking good. Of course, Kiev getting air raid sirens very heavy. As we look into the country of Russia, we have seen several people within Russia protesting this, including St. Petersburg, Moscow. There have been over 1,700 Russians arrested for protesting the war. Usually these have been going on in big events in which people are chanting no to war. Even far away from this conflict itself, we of course see South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Kenya, and of course the United States and Canada supporting Ukraine. And then we have Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba all supporting the country of Russia at this time. So if we go ahead and take a look at our other things here, we can see those countries that I was talking about earlier, those two countries within the supporting Russia, South Ossetia and Abkhazia. Of course, Crimea, as we know, and then the two countries in Donbass, the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic. All of those areas, those three are under basically Russian control at this point. This transition region called Transnistria, which we can see here under a different name, is what I was talking about between Moldova and Ukraine, which is supposedly under Russian control as well. Again, Crimea are two republics here that Russia recognized the sovereignty of, and then these two, South Ossetia and Abkhazia, within Georgia, the country of Georgia, that has been of concern. Now, Georgia and Ukraine are both in the path to joining NATO. NATO nations here, we of course have Romania, Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary, as well as several other nations on this map here. The only one within like this general point of view here, other than Syria down here and Iran down here, and of course Kazakhstan, is Serbia. Serbia is the only European country currently supporting Russia in their war effort. If we move over here, we can see a better zoomed in look at what's going on here. We have these areas of Russian control, the Donbass region over here, Crimea down here, Transnistria over here, and then of course the NATO nations on the other side of Ukraine, and then where all of the Russian forces have been coming in from the north and east sides of Ukraine, causing bombings throughout this area, as well as other major cities, resulting in the deaths of 137, I want to say, Ukrainian, both civilians and military personnel at this time. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of the battle. The funniest story, I suppose, we have, not very funny, but if you're going to go, that's a way to go, is down here in Snake Island. That did not work very well. There we go. Down here in Snake Island, between Crimea and mainland Ukraine, Romania, over here, Ukrainian-controlled territory had 13 Ukrainian soldiers there. The Russians came naval battle to them. They ordered them to surrender. There's a video of this going down in which the Ukrainian guys ask the other guys, should I tell him to go F himself? And the guys were like, yeah, do it. And he then went on the loudspeaker to the Russian ship from the island and said, Russian ship, go F yourself. And then all 13 Ukrainians died as a result. All of the 13 Ukrainian military personnel on Snake Island died as Russia took control of Snake Island. Now, Snake Island is not Crimea or Donbass, these areas that are predominantly Russian influenced. So there's no reason for Russia to be attacking all of Ukraine. So it's clear at this point that Russia is heading in to Ukraine, going to attempt to take over the whole country, which of course is sovereign nation and not allowed at all. And so that's kind of where we're at as it stands right now. Again, we can see this is kind of what we're dealing with right now. Ukraine being supported with military aid from several countries, including the United States, in terms of arms, several other countries helping with non-lethal military aid, and then several other countries supporting Ukraine in at least name. So that's good, but that's kind of all we have for today. As the war continues, we'll see what happens. We're praying for peace, of course, and we'll do the best that we can to protect Ukraine, protect the world for peace, and pray for an end to violence.